Who's ready for a dumpster fire? I know I am. Steve, are you ready?
I am so ready, dude. I'm beyond ready. Let's dumpster fire this, man. What could go wrong?
Welcome to Debate Roulette. You're watching NonSequitur. I'm Kyle Curtis. He's Steve McRae. David F is in the back producing. David M is on Discord watching for the voting forms, and we're going to jump straight into it. Real quickly, tomorrow, just a quick reminder that we will be joined again by Aaron Ra. He will be having a debate with George Lujack on creationism. George Lujack believes that in an old Earth model, and we know that Aaron doesn't. So it's going to be quite the show, I think. So join us tomorrow at 8 o'clock for that. That's 8 p.m. Eastern. Now, a little bit about how this show is going to work. If you haven't followed the first two that we did, first two were very successful. Everybody that came in was very knowledgeable and respectable, and it was a easygoing process and smooth. I'm hoping that we get a complete dumpster fire, as you guys know, but who knows? We'll be happy with either way it pans out. But the way that it works is in the description, also on our Discord, in the debate roulette section on Discord, there is a link. It says voting form here or to vote here. That link will be active in just a second. You will click that link. I'm getting a repeat there. Did you hear that, Steve?
Yeah, but I'm muted,
okay.
So it's not me.
Okay, I just want to make sure that I wasn't losing my mind.
You're hearing
don't get me wrong. I love the sound of my voice, and that was like angelic music right there. But but anyway, you're going to click that form. In just a second, we're going to spin the topic wheel. Now, these topic they run a wide range of various issues. Some of them serious, some of them not so serious. Just for Steve, we put on there: do triangles exist and do colors exist? So that might be the thing. There's also, I believe I told David this, but I believe that my question about the age of the Sphinx is on there. I can't remember if I told him that or if it was just an idea I had, but who knows? Hopefully that will be the case. And if that's the case,
we don't even know the topics. We just make shit up and see what flies. That's it.
Yeah. We put a bunch of stuff on a wall and threw darts at it. But exactly. We'll spin the topic wheel. Wherever it lands, that will be the topic. And then you guys will go to the link, either here in the description or on Discord. That will take you through the voting process. You'll either vote yes or no. And then we will choose randomly by spinning two additional wheels, a wheel from group 1 and a wheel from group 2. And those two people that it picks will come on, and you guys will debate. Now, the way that the format is, you will have a introduction round. It's just 3 minutes for you to kind of introduce yourself and your stance on the position, followed by two 5-minute rounds to state your case or refute what the person before you said. After that, we will go into a 15-minute discussion, which is a free-flowing, kind of like what we usually do here on the show, back and forth for you guys to just talk in an open format. Steve and I will only step in whenever it's getting crazy or you're just not making any sense. And that will be the way it goes. We've gotten 2 in the past 2 shows. We're going to try to shoot for 3 tonight, and that will be our objective. Are there any questions, anyone? No one?
Let's do this. Yeah,
wow.
the people are asking. They're obviously the Discord thing or the forum for the topics. I think it's not open yet. We know as soon as we get a topic going, that's when we're going to open it up. That's when you can go to the forum and then you can log in. So
this keeps people from going in and voting without knowing what the topic is. And if we made it live, there would be people to do that. And
absolutely,
so we have to
bigger dumpster fire than we expect. Yeah, childproof it.
Although maybe looking back, we should have let it go. Okay, so let's bring up that
next time maybe.
Vanna White, let's bring up that big, beautiful wheel.
It's so pretty.
Vanna White doesn't actually spin the wheel, does she? That's Pat Sajak. Okay.
Yeah, Pat's.
All right, let's give her a spin.
Oh, the suspense is killing me now.
It is. And David's actually going to have to read the...
Yeah, I can't...
Whatever it lands on.
It's so small on our end, yeah. So we'll have to trust Dave that he'll give us the accurate topic of discussion here.
Well, I think Dave can read. I have that much faith in him.
Well, yeah, but he has a better visual than we've got because the things are so blurry. I see something. I see it. It's almost stopped.
Oh,
It's close. It's so there.
Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going.
No, stop. No. Oh, what does that say?
Okay, David, what do we land on?
Ooh.
Okay. Can that's an interesting question. Yeah. Can alternative energy effectively replace fossil fuels? Okay. All right. Now the voting is open. You have I believe 3 minutes is what we set it on to
this
vote.
might something that
and
afterwards I might
yep.
I might have an interest in because I was in alternative fuel for quite some time.
And hopefully you guys will be able to hear our new sound that we settled on for the when our guests say non sequitur. We really Dave did a really good job at picking out a phenomenal sound that fits perfectly in with the show, and I think that we're going to have that play when the buzzer.
Let's make this caveat, though. Let's make this caveat. It has to be appropriate non sequitur. They can't just throw it out there so they can hear the buzzer.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they're just be like
sometimes that'd be funny.
Non sequitur, non sequitur. You know, somebody's going to come in here just be saying non sequitur, non sequitur, non sequitur.
Oh, not
I'd
tonight.
be doing
Yeah,
that all
I'm
the
talking
time.
about like on our usual shows.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't see. Well, I take that back. You're right. Okay, so let's go through while we're waiting for that clock to wind down and talk about some of the shows that we have coming up for the week. Obviously, tomorrow we've got R and Raw at 8:00 Eastern. We've already been through that. Monday is another big show. We had Bernard Lamberel on about a month ago, and he wrote a book called The Covenant, and that book was about an alternative theory about how religion started and how it was kind of exaggerated over the years because it was initially a covenant between a king and a man, just your average. Maybe it was Abraham that he was talking about, but they settled the region was warring really bad, and there was poverty, all kind of bad stuff going on. So they decided to broker a peace deal, and that covenant that they struck over the years, as it was getting told, because this led to prosperity and people getting along. So over the years, it eventually was exaggerated to the point where this is between a man and some god because they struck this deal. We've got Digital Hammurabi, Dr. Josh Bowen and Megan. They will be here. Maggie Bryson, Dr. Maggie Bryson, our Egyptologist, will be here. Stephen DiMattei, the biblical scholar, will be here, and we will be going through it's kind of like peer review. They've read the book, and they're going to be giving their reviews of it, what they think, if they think it's possible, all that stuff. That will be Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern, so that's going to be really cool. And then on Tuesday, I've got Mark Seidel. He is a minister who is also gay, and it's a very interesting, I think, dynamic. He's going to be here to talk with me about that, and Shannon, I believe, is going to join us for that as well. But I'm interested to know how that. That was perfect. That was perfect. Okay, voting's over. So we will get the things tallied. Steve, did you have something coming up after Debate Roulette tonight, correct?
I do. Tonight we have Mr. Matt Powell, the 22-year-old preacher that advocating the position that we have no votes yet. Okay.
Okay, let's spin the wheel again.
Yeah, but
let's bring that big, beautiful wheel back up.
Then I'll go into my thing for tonight.
Okay.
I guess where it's spinning. So tonight I'm having Matt Power on. He's the guy that wanted to advocate the death penalty for gays and unruly children with Shannon Q. So we're going to be doing a special Let's Talk About Shannon Q. Or Let's Talk About You with Shannon Q on my channel. Only it's going to be, I'm going to be one doing the interviewing with Matt. Shannon's going to be kind of facilitating it. And we're going to be debunking Hovind's Creationist Notebook 9th edition in real time and addressing some of the scientific claims to Matt in real time. So that's going to be on my channel right after following this particular show.
That's going to be cool.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Oh, my God. My
What is
God. Do triangles exist?
Hell yeah.
Yes. Come on, bitches. I want to hear this.
There we go, guys. Do triangles exist? Okay. Those of you who believe the triangles do exist, do not let me down.
Go Team Steve. Go Team Steve.
Okay. So we have the case. Do triangles exist? This is going to be epic. I was hoping that we would do the colors, but this is the next best thing. Okay. So Steve has Matt Powell, our beloved pastor who believes that gay people and small unruly children should be stoned to death. Good luck with that, sir. I will definitely be watching. I can't wait to hear what he thinks about what you have to say about Hovind. But really, anybody that still believes anything Hovind says is hard to take serious.
It is pretty amazing, isn't it? Yeah, I don't know how in this day and age with the internet you cannot go look up Hovind's claims and young Earth creationist claims. They are trivial these days to kind of debunk. We've been doing it for so long, most of us have, that it's almost second nature. There's literally nothing new under the sun that I've seen in ages. Matter of fact, I'm thrilled to death when a young Earth creationist comes to me and says, "Hey, Steve, I'll show you that the Earth is young, and I have a new novel argument." I'm like, yes. Never happens because it's very, very rare.
Another big announcement, KC, who has been on our channel numerous times, I've had some relief within my schedule, I guess we'll say. So she and I are going to start doing a show together coming this Wednesday. More details will be put out on Twitter, but that show will be called Ideology, where we'll be focusing on more of the individual people that have ideas that are outside the norm. And I believe Wednesday we're going to be talking to a gentleman that had a near-death experience and how that kind of came about, what he saw when he nearly died. And it's a very interesting story. So look out for that. That will be coming Wednesday. Two KCs. Also on the 24th, Flatline, it will be our show kind of like this for Flat Earthers. A little bit different in how we'll do the structure, but that's going to be the 24th at 8 p.m. Eastern. So if you're a Flat Earther out there and you feel like you have enough evidence to weigh in on this, you're going up against the audience. And what that does is it keeps you from straying off course and just saying nuh-uh and no, that's not right, or gravity doesn't exist, without having an actual argument for it. So if you think you can back that up, we welcome you here on the 24th. And I believe, as it stands now, Reds is going to be joining us for that. So that's going to be cool. And
we need some anti-triangleists. We need some people that want to argue no. Everybody was arguing they exist.
Oh,
there's not one person who doesn't want to argue.
That's what I'm talking about.
I mean, they can argue against me. I don't mind, but it's not that big of a topic. I don't know how much I would have to add to it, but I'll challenge. If somebody wants to take me on, sure, why not?
Well, we gotta save that for a different show. This is the people show, Steve. I would love to get in there.
We're giving it to the people. The people.
Did anybody vote yes?
I don't know. We need some anti-triangulars in here. Come on.
Nobody voted.
Because I really do want to listen to this. I'd rather judge it, obviously, than be a part of this particular argument. But
yeah, surely somebody voted no.
You would think so, right? Now, if the argument was, or the discussion was, does Steve exist? You bet your ass everybody in here be going, no, you fucking don't. Every one of them.
What about it? We need to get Cirrus in here. David, did we have anybody that voted no?
Yeah, get serious. He's an anti-triangulist.
Nobody voted no.
Wow.
Okay, spin
That's
the wheel
two
again.
topics. We couldn't get somebody. We couldn't get a pro and con. Wow. Dumpster fire, but not the
Spin
way
the
we
wheel
wanted
again.
it.
Wow, this is guys. When I said I wanted a dumpster fire, I meant between two people, not
Yeah.
not against us.
Oh,
This
I'm
is
so
collusion.
disappointed. I was so excited. I was orgasmic, and you know what? They all let me down.
But I will say though, I am very proud of our viewing audience for knowing that triangles do indeed exist. You guys rock. I couldn't be more
I think
proud
we
to
all need to
call
go back
you.
to basic geometry, but that's okay.
I couldn't be more proud to
I
call
love
you
y'all.
our viewers.
Oh, shit. I was so excited too. Oh my God. This could be, is this what I think it says about the ACLU? Okay. Wow. This is a huge potential dumpster fire. Congratulations.
Is the ACLU good for America? Okay,
Wow.
so there we go. Is the ACLU good for America? They are a liberal-leaning entity that the American
tough one.
Civil Liberties Union. They often go after the instances where they feel that people's rights are being infringed on. Controversial in some areas, beneficial in others. So this should be interesting. Surely there are
Very
people out there that
interesting.
have strong opinions both ways on this one.
I would think so, right?
I'm
I mean,
hoping.
there was some
Otherwise,
controversial
we're going to
stuff with the
spend
ACLU. The entire
it
show
is,
just spinning.
but yeah, just spinning the wheel. I mean, at least we know the wheel spins and actually stops this time. That was that's a good thing. Okay,
Yeah,
guys. So you have 2 minutes and 30 seconds left to vote. Hopefully, somebody has a. Okay, good. So this one's going to be a thing.
All right. Thank you. Can we get the hallelujah thing? I was praying that we would get a pro and con. Thank you.
So where were we? Okay. Wednesday, also on our show, we will be diving into sensory deprivation. We have a guy that has he does sensory deprivation in Dallas, Texas. He has 2 tanks, I believe, and some stories to go along with what actually happens to you while you're in that. They're very interesting. I went online. I made the mistake of going online and reading. There's a forum that has different stories of people doing this, and basically what it is you take a like a little pool, 10 inches of water, and you fill it with enough salt to where you're buoyant and you float. You're in complete darkness, and you can't hear anything, and so you lose all of your senses, and your brain is in overdrive to kind of feel that void. And in some cases, I was reading one where one guy had he was floating for about 45 minutes and felt like something was swimming up below him, and that was enough for me. Steve, have you heard of any horror stories with this? I know somebody actually
The only
died.
one I know
You
is
were
that
telling me.
obviously the CEO who died doing sensory deprivation in a tank, but I think that was drug related or something with his heart. But it had nothing to do with the fact that he was in the tank, because it's very difficult you can't drown in one of those tanks because it's so much water. But I have done sensory deprivation things myself, not so much a tank, but like bathtub type thing. And you do feel like you're going in a total different reality. Your whole mind and consciousness goes somewhere else. It is bizarre, but it's fascinating to say the least. It does do something. It has an effect, and if you know how to kind of like let yourself go, you can have some bizarre experiences, to say the least.
Yeah, there's some wild stories on there, but I mean, just feeling like something's in the water with you, I think would no.
Well, I've had like
Absolutely
feelings where
not.
you're like falling and you're like cartwheeling and like you're floating on clouds. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Okay. Voting is over, so we will now compile the 2 wheels that will have the names on them. If you'll give us just a second to get those up, they'll come up as soon as they are ready. What do you think about the response to the Sargon video and Brittany Simon?
Well, I mean, in 2 days, it's gotten 7,500 hits. I mean, I knew it was going to be a popular video. I was actually pleasantly surprised. Like I said, I thought it was going to go well, and I thought they would be very civil to each other and very cordial. I didn't expect how well they would be civil and cordial to each other, and I liked it, actually. I like the fact that you can have such a diverse concept, or topic. You know, it is a lot of controversy surrounding intersectionality, but they both came at it very knowledgeable. They both came at it wanting to define their terms. They both made good arguments, and I enjoyed it. I think that was one of the best discussions we've ever had on here, to be honest with you.
I agree. It's
and divisive was the word I was thinking of, by the way.
Wheels are ready. Okay, these are the people who are defending the proposition. A whole three.
Awesome.
And it looks like we're going to be going with.
Could be Puff. Could be Puff. No, it's not Puff. Puff got all excited for nothing. Oh, it's going to be close. Is it going to make it? Is it going to cross that line? It did. There we go.
Who do we have?
KD1S.
All right. KD1S. You are defending the ACLU. All right. And let's pull up the wheel for who will be taking the negative.
And KD1S will be getting you the link for that.
Okay. We're getting ready to pull up the wheel for who will be saying that the ACLU is not good for America. What do you think, Steve?
You got a lot of writing. Oh, yeah. You want my opinion now or after? I don't want to poison the well here. I mean, well, I'll tell you, but yeah, I'll do it after because I don't want to poison the well. Let them make their arguments. Then I'll tell you what I think of the ACLU. Oh, this would be awesome. Look at this. We get Team Skeptic, maybe. Busting Nut. Okay. What a name.
And I made a mistake on the format just a second ago. That's going to be the discussion part's 10 minutes. I forgot that we did that. We cut that back last time we did this. So it's a mistake on my part.
Is it Team Skeptic? I think so. Oh, this is going to be a borderline. Oh, nope. It is Busting Nut.
Busting Nut. Okay.
I was going to say that on this show.
Yeah, that is something that you
It's a total non sequitur.
Okay, KD1S and Busting Nut. I can't wait to hear the inspiration for that name. Although I can probably use my imagination.
So yeah, he cracks walnuts.
Get them.
He's a walnut cracker.
Oh yeah, here my mind is in the gutter as always.
Of course.
My bad. You're right. He's probably like a Jimmy Carter, a peanut farmer.
Yeah, you know. Oh, Team Skeptic.
I'm sorry,
so
Busting
close.
Nut.
Oh, I felt sorry for Team Skeptic. He was so excited. It was a 50-50 chance. You know. Sorry, Team Skeptic.
He's been on here before, hasn't he?
He has.
He has. Yeah. So I mean, in a way, it's good that we got somebody. Even though Team Skeptic did do really good last time, he did really well.
He's smart.
I'm hoping in all reality that I'm correct as to why he chose the name he did, Busting Nut, and this gives me one step closer to my dumpster fire that I'm waiting for.
Only time will tell.
You can usually tell. Yeah. But anyway, back to the while we get them in here, to go back to the Sargon. So I'm surprised at how the reaction is that people are surprised nowadays that two people can have a conversation about a divisive issue without it resorting to what you usually see. And that's been the most shocking thing to me, because nearly every comment is outside the fact of that it was a good conversation, but that they didn't break down in some kind of communication error. And I think people have this preconceived notion of Sargon, and seeing some of the things that he's done, and the fact that he can be a controversial figure, and apply that he can't, have a mutually beneficial conversation.
Yeah, I think that's definitely accurate. I mean, I listen to Sargon, and I know he can be passionate. And I know that he can be a little bit abrasive, to say the least. But he came in, and he came in with a positive attitude. He came in with a willing and wanting to talk, and I think that showed. So there was no reason.
Neither of them are in
to go
Discord.
that. Neither of them are in Discord.
Okay, Dave is telling me that neither of you guys are in Discord. Katie, 1S, and Busting Nut. Will you will you please go to the Discord? Steve, can you make sure that the Discord link is in the description? I can't remember if I put that in there or not. But you need to be a part of the Discord in order to land on the show. And that's where you're going to get your link.
Let me take care of that for you guys right now.
Okay.
Because that might be the problem.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Let me put those links in there, because the link is not in there for the Discord.
Okay.
But I will be doing that in just a second.
So Katie, 1S and Busting Nut, click the link that's getting ready to be in your in the description to our Discord, unless you're already a member. If you're already a member of our Discord, you'll enter in there, and you'll see on the left-hand side under the channels where to go. Dave will send you a message on Discord and give you the link to come in here. So, okay, boom. Remember the format will be a 10-minute discussion. We switched that back last time, so it's an introduction round of about 3 minutes, and then 2 5-minute rounds, and then an open free flow conversation for 10.
Okay, if you refresh the video, if you wanted to get the link is now in the video description. So you're going to have to refresh, and it should come up for you.
Yep. And like I said earlier, we're going to try to get to we're going to try to fit 3 in here. Last time they ran so smoothly that our time's kind of cut back on that. So we're going to try to hit that and do it that way. For Flatline, she's not on Discord.
Yeah, you had to be on Discord to be able to join in for the debate roulette, but
yeah. The reason you have to be on Discord is for the camera, and you don't have to use your camera, but you have to have that I guess that option. Otherwise Discord won't let you, or is it Discord or VMix that won't let you do that?
VMix
Something with the system won't let you.
Yeah, VMix.
Yeah, won't let you come in. Yeah, so you don't have to enable it. That's why we have the 2 placeholders up there, but you have to at least have that option. It has to pick up that you have a camera and to do that. But Discord is the reason that we use Discord, is so you can get the link. It's a central location that we can kind of contact you and bring you in through here without having to go in 90 different places to send a link out. So is Katie going to go through the Discord, or do we need to find another person for?
How about we do this? The people that get in Discord, the Puff Puff Pass, Team Skeptic, Katie 1S, and Busting Nut or Busted Nut or whatever. The first of those 4 that go into Discord right now will get links. Is that cool?
Yeah. That works.
And I think we've got 2. I think we've got 2.
Excellent.
Now see if they can make it in.
Okay. I believe we're getting ready to start this See how it goes.
Did we get them
In the
links
center
to-
of your screen, there's a spot for the timer. By the way, keep an eye on that. You'll hear the hallelujah when your time's up. So keep a watch on that.
Should I announce the two that I think we got, or should we just let it be a? Oh, sorry. No, those names aren't right. Oh, this is going to be a surprise for us too. So we don't know who's coming in, but somebody's going to be coming in to argue for this.
Puffaluffagus.
Puffaluffagus. I don't think I've talked to Puffaluffagus. I know who he is. He's been around a long time, but I don't remember ever having a conversation with him.
All right, Puffaluffagus. And
this will be interesting.
Team Skeptic. All right, guys. Do we have you on?
Hello, gentlemen.
Hey, who do we got?
Team Skeptic.
Team Buddy. Welcome back.
Hello, Team Skeptic. You're not using a camera, correct?
No.
Okay.
He's too pretty
And,
for a camera.
Puff?
He doesn't want to show you up, Kyle.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
I would hate to have to turn your camera off. That's what we do here.
Can't be prettier than Kyle on the stream. It's just the thing that
It's
we have.
in my contract. It's in my contract.
We signed it in blood.
I will be having a camera soon. I'm actually building a studio here at my shop. The same place where I do my sensory deprivation, actually.
We were just talking about you. Yeah. Okay.
Team's the one that has the tanks. Yeah.
Sorry, man. I have so many. There's so many people that like you wouldn't believe the amount of people that I talk to in just a day's time about different shows and stuff. I mean, it's yeah.
This might be a good time to hey team. Do you still have that same offer open for people that live in your area?
Yeah, absolutely. I actually would prefer that so we could have. So I could get somebody on here to talk about their experience, so it wasn't so anecdotal from my point of view.
Yeah, why don't you?
So if you live in the Dallas area and you want to, if you want to try out the sensory deprivation, he is offering for someone, if you live in the Dallas area, to come and sort of record your experience. We would like
two
to.
people.
You kind of like you'll be
two people.
Yeah. Okay. Two people.
Yeah, they can bring a guest with them.
Okay. So you both will be kind of like field reporters for the NonSequitur Show. We'll call you our senior sensory deprivation correspondents and put you out in the field. So if you are interested in doing that, send me an email at live@nonsecshow.com. That's NonSeq show.com, and we will set that up for you. So that would be really cool. Okay, Puff. Puff, are you here?
Puff is not coming in yet for some reason. And by the way, I would totally do that if I lived in the Dallas region in a freaking heartbeat. Just FYI.
Oh man, I do more of the actual true sensory deprivation, the very true meditation, spiritualization, the stuff y'all are talking about, feeling things swim around you. I've felt that. I've had customers come in and say, hey, there's something in the tank swimming around. And I'm like, man, there's nothing in the tank. And they're like, I'm pretty sure there is. I felt it. And I'm like, no, there's 900 pounds of salt in there. So you drop a fish in there and it'll float on top. Like it can't swim in the bottom and it would die. So
hell no.
Yeah, you didn't feel anything swimming around you.
But the mind is amazing things. So if you didn't want to fuck with somebody, put a little mechanical thing in there.
Let me find out real quick about Puffaluffagus. Dave, what's the deal on Puff? Okay, he's plugging in his camera. Okay, I read a bunch of stories on there, and I have been kind of, with knowing my brain, because it's been with me for nearly 32 years. I hate saying that. That stings every time I say 32. I don't want to turn 32, but I know that I would probably be the type of person. I'd be swimming like zombies and 1,200-pound piranhas. There's no way you would get me in that thing. No way.
Sensory depth is
Are we still here?
fantastic.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not. Okay,
Yeah, I'm here.
I think I hear Puff. Okay. Awesome. All right, guys. Both of you are here. I'm going to let you introduce yourselves real quick. Actually, you're going to do that in the introduction round. So to go through it real quick, you're going to have 3 minutes to introduce yourselves. And oh, that wasn't him I was hearing.
False
Okay.
alarm. Oh, there we go. Yay.
Okay. Cool. Yep. Puff, we can't hear you.
So, Steve,
Well,
tell me a little bit about your experience with sensory deprivation.
I would usually self-induce. I'd do like a self-induction, and I'd just be like, earplugs, blindfold, dark room. Usually after long periods of being without sleep, and you can feel yourself floating in a different reality. And actually, I would have hallucinations. I would actually be able to see things, even though I know my eyes were covered. Even though I wasn't actually seeing things, but I was seeing things. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, no, I floated about
You were on
400
mushrooms.
times.
You know what right?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I've
And vivid,
never
too.
ever. Oh yeah, I've never floated on any kind of drug whatsoever. I've never been. Yeah, it's all every one of them I've done. Well, I've had a few I've done kind of on the fringe of coming from being drunk. Where it was like 3-4 o'clock in the morning, and I said, you know what, fuck going home and going to sleep. I'm going to the shop and floating. And I was still a little drunk. And I mean, those were amazing floats, but I've never taken a hallucinogen. I've never taken anything like that. You don't need to. It would
I'll
probably
have
be
to
too
take
much.
a Valium to get in there.
Can you guys hear me now? Hello?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
Puff.
Okay, I'm going to turn the mic off
deal.
or the camera off because I got other people in the house.
Okay. All right. Let's get started then. We're going to put 3 minutes on the clock. You're going to have 3 minutes to introduce yourself and state your opinion on the matter, just in a general idea. You don't have to use up all of the time. So if you get a thought out and you think you're done, you do not have to keep floundering around looking for more words to say. You can just say that I'm done, and we will go on to the next round, and that will work fine. So let's start with who's taking the affirmative.
Puff can go.
That it is
Puff can go first.
Okay,
he's
I
taking the
guess.
affirmative.
Yeah, I took the affirmative. And it's because, well, basically, here's my perspective. You have to be challenged on stuff, right? So like you got to be challenged as hard as you can. So like if you go along and like, because like I kind of do like a little bit of comedy thing here and there on the side, and the first thing they tell you is don't bring any friends. Don't tell your friends you do it, because you don't want anybody coming that's automatically going to support your position or what you're doing, because you want the brutal honest truth, right? Well, you got to be challenged, and sometimes you're not wrong, but sometimes you are. And the ACLU, they jump on everything. They'll take any position, right? They'll help anybody out that says that they're being persecuted. Now, not always the case. A lot of times they do things that end up making them look stupid. But I feel that that's something that it jars you and it makes you actually think about the situation. Why do they say that they're correct? Are they correct? Maybe, maybe not. But that's why I think it's good for America, because it keeps the discourse open. It's no longer just it's not a just keep up with what everybody else is saying. So it's like it makes you examine the situation. It forces you to go, well, are they right? And a lot of times they do. Everybody's going to frame it. Everybody's going to spin it. So I feel like if you don't get challenged, if you don't have somebody that's standing up, and like the SJWs, if we didn't have that, we wouldn't know that there's a limit to what you should be crying about. You know what I mean? Like even in this day and age where we're expanded the things that you can complain about, or that you can say this is unjust, this is not right, we still found there's limits. There's reasonable limits. You know what I mean? So I think that that's why they're a good thing. And I think that if they weren't there, a lot of times a lot of things would not. They did good things as well. They help people expand their rights, and those point blank wouldn't be there. And they do stick up for people that are technically, I guess, morally egregious. But I think that that's part of the heart and soul of freedom of expression or freedom of speech, is that you have to have the right to offend people. And that's my position.
Cool.
You can take it away.
All right, okay, excellent. Team Skeptic, what say you?
Okay. So guys, I'm Team Skeptic. Have my own channel over there on the YouTube. It's Team Skeptic, and we do science, pseudoscience debunking, whatnot. I am an active proponent against the SJWs and the left. Not necessarily anybody that's left, but far left, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to attack this topic. I do believe the ACLU has done good things in the past when an actual need for fighting for rights was there. However, when you try to apply what they're doing to today's model, there's not a lot of rights for them to fight for. You can argue that there are still some rights for the LGBT community that are absolutely necessary, but when you look at who the ACLU defends, you know, and you kind of said it yourself pretty good. They defend the people who are who think they're being discriminated against, who think they're being oppressed against. A lot of times that oppression and discrimination is all in your mind. It's a matter of not getting what you think you deserve and coming up with an excuse as to why you deserve it. And I believe the ACLU will take your imaginary beliefs in for, you know, against oppression that's not really oppressing you, and they'll go in there and fight for those rights, for those imaginary rights you think are being violated. Now, again, that's not to say that there wasn't a time when absolutely the ACLU was necessary. And if there is a current conundrum that involves the denying of somebody's civil rights, I believe that an organization like the ACLU not only should exist, but that's the reason for their existence. But when you come to a point where rights are no longer being actually taken away from people, a organization like the ACLU will kind of, it becomes non-existent. It doesn't have a reason for existence, so it develops a reason to exist. So it may use an idea that's not really oppressive and show it in a light to show that how it is being used in an oppressive manner towards an individual. But typically they don't, you don't find the ACLU fighting for the elite 1%. So they're kind of non-inclusive in that. And that's my intro.
Okay, excellent. And it looks like we're going to have two very knowledgeable and a just not my dumpster fire that I was looking for, Steve. So maybe next round. We'll keep hoping. But we are now going to enter the the 2-minute or the 5-minute round for rebuttal. Puff, you're up now, and you've got 5 minutes.
Okay, so I do challenge that there are no rights to fight for, and that no one's rights are systematically in some ways being infringed. Okay, so one that I do notice is in the manufacturing industry. It's hard, very hard, until they accidentally get into a position for people of color, not just African Americans, but Spanish speakers as well, Latinos. It's hard for them to get into the higher positions where they make better money, even though they are highly skilled workers. They're very knowledgeable, things that they do. Because, hello? Okay. Sorry, I had some feedback. And it's very hard for them to get there. And I've seen in some instances where people with no criminal background, nothing for them to, actually say this is a reason not to hire this person or not to give them this raise or this opportunity, were passed over for a Caucasian that was, maybe equally skilled, but maybe not, and actually had, a prior criminal history. In one case, they were a pedophile, and they were convicted of that. They were recently out of prison for that. So, one hand, you could say, yeah, they're giving somebody an opportunity, but on the other hand, somebody that had been with the company for quite a long time was passed over for an opportunity that they probably should have earned. And they're not necessarily fighting for that guy, but here's one that they are fighting for, and that's why I brought up that situation. Harvard has recently been brought to court. They're being sued because they are being accused of rating Asian American applicants lower on the likability, courage, and the likability and courage scores. When they review applicants, and there's over 160,000 student records that are being included in this, so it's a pretty widespread thing, and even though these Asian American students have been across the board, they're ranking very high in their scores, extracurricular activities, involvement in the community, and all the things that you would need to get into a good prestigious college or university nowadays. And they're being marked down on that with basically it's everything's on paper at this point, so there's no interaction with the people yet or anything like that, so there's no way to actually judge someone, because as I'm sure you're aware, even in speech, inflection changes everything, how you say something, so this is without any interaction with the people, anything like that, and across their board they're knocking Asian Americans down. So you have to ask, why is this happening? Now the ACLU is picking this up. If it turns out to be completely founded, then that's infringing upon somebody's rights. That's not treating everyone as an equal, because in this country it's written that all people are created equally. So if you're a citizen or you have rights in this country, you're here on a green card, a visa, something like that, you should be treated equally to everybody else. They shouldn't say that, oh, you have this last name, well, you're probably not going to be the best person in a conversation, or you're not going to be likable, or you're not going to be a courageous individual that goes out to help your neighbor. These things are just arbitrary decisions that are made based upon, a pretty much made up stereotype that they're an inclusive people. They don't want to help out their neighbor. They look down upon others. And these things are not necessarily true across the board or in the group. It may be on an individual level, but this can be found in any group as well. So I think that that's one example of where they're helping people out, and it needs to be done. So, and I could cite several other, I could probably find a couple others, but this one just popped up in my head. That's why I was like, okay, well, the ACLU is still actually doing things to help people out. Their rights are really being infringed in a legitimate way that should be fought for. That's pretty much all I got. So I'll go ahead and let go of the rest of my time.
Perfect. All right. Reset the
Okay,
clock. And Team Skeptic, you're up.
Okay, I'd like to start by saying that, I did say in the beginning that the ACLU does have a purpose, and if something like that is going on where someone's rights are being infringed upon, then yes, there is a need for them. But that doesn't mean that they need to be an organization that puts its foot in every situation where someone who claims that they have they're being oppressed. You did say that in the Harvard case, you said they're ranking lower for Asians, and you might have to ask yourself, why is that? So you go back and you say, well, there probably was a time at which we needed to have some kind of affirmative action. There's these Asians who are putting up a lot of good numbers, so the affirmative action wants to keep everything based on society. So the underrepresented group will get the benefit in the case, and it drops down. They're going to automatically remove the rankings for the Asians. Now, if that's the case, then should it not be the ACLU's real offense? They should be more offensive towards affirmative action and not the actual individual Asians that are being affected here, because what's being affected by those is not the fact that they're Asian, it's the fact that the Asian society, the Asian culture pushes harder for education. Now, this is a meritocracy that I believe in, and I do believe that those Asians should never, ever be denied the ability to go to school because they're too good. Now, of course, when an organization like the ACLU steps in to help those people out, I will support things like that. Just like I would support the ACLU being there for the LGBT community. However, I wouldn't support the ACLU being there for, let's say, promoting more affirmative action or trying to get trying to increase rights for women that are not, let's say, rights that are not human rights. You know, like every man and every woman should have the same rights. Women do deserve more rights because they have a biological difference that requires them to be pregnant and have certain other things that they do need rights for that. But when it comes to, like, let's say a woman, or you mentioned something about the about moving up in the company and how hard it is in the manufacturing industry for people of color to move up in the industry. Why is that? Do you think it's because they are people of color? Or do you think that it's because someone ahead of them is better qualified for the position? Because if the manufacturing company is uninterested in having the most efficient company out there, the most efficient company that it could possibly be, then of course it would just, the affirmative action should be allowed to come in and push those people of color up to the top, and so that we can ensure that we have this equality at the top, not a meritocracy, not the people who've actually earned it. So those cases, you would have to provide proof of those cases to say that they were equally qualified, and yet they still were not given the same opportunities. You said something about a systemic infringement of rights. Again, you would need to show proof of a systemic infringement of rights, detailing which rights are being infringed upon and which groups are the ones that are being oppressed. You did have, a couple of anecdotal statements of prejudice, which don't go very far in a debate. But I'll go ahead and say that that prejudiceness is part of human nature. Every one of us that are out there are going to be prejudiced to some extent. Systemic prejudice is a whole different thing. When you have systemic prejudiceness, you would have actual numbers to back your claims. You wouldn't need anecdotal statements. You could come out and say, oh yeah, well, 65% of qualified Hispanics that are in a position to go up are being looked over for a person who is non-Hispanic to be pushed in front of them. How do you know that the job doesn't require them to speak perfect English, and the Hispanic person, recently even if he has a green card or became a citizen, and let's say he just has a little bit trouble speaking English, well, there's a reason for a company to step in and say, ACLU, I know you want to come in and save this guy's ability to move forward in the company, but why not take the company into account? Why not take my personal benefit and my personal gain into account? Because maybe my company runs better with a non-Hispanic person that has a better grasp of the English language. So you also talked about the criminal history of certain people. Criminal history should not make a difference. If the person is obviously more qualified to handle a position, it shouldn't matter what his criminal history is. If the company believes that he should get the job, then the company should give the job to him. And if the ACLU was to step in and tell the owner, hey, you're looking at this wrong. They're prescribing how you should actually see the world, not allowing you to see the world. Okay, done.
All right. Last 5-minute round for each of you. This next 5 minutes goes over to Puff when you're ready.
Okay. So let me try and do this Hitchin style. We'll start from the front and run to the back. Okay, or the back and run to the front. All right. So, okay, in the situation that I was speaking of, it's not just once that I've seen this, but several times. In the particular situation with the gentleman in the background, they were all equally qualified, and in fact, I would probably say that the Spanish speaker, even though he did have Spanish speaking skills, he spoke perfect English. He was a more reliable employee, and he was more easier to deal with, should we say. There was no rough edges to work around, and he believed it was a job. You come to work, you clock in, it's time to work. No 10-minute cigarette break every hour, none of that stuff. You're never having to work around his problems. But across the board, I've seen this. Even, in the manufacturing industry in the Midwest, you see this a lot. Until one of them accidentally breaks in, what you hear, and you can hear this from discussions with management and hear them, creep up on them, catch them speaking. That is basically a inclusion system. If we start opening it up, we don't understand. They know our language and another language, so they can communicate in a way with each other where we won't know what they're saying. It's no longer the other way around for us, and it's a scary situation for them. I can understand that. It's hard when you're on the top and then suddenly you realize you're not really that far on the top. There's only a couple things technically keeping you there. It's hard. But in the case I was bringing up with the Asian Americans, what the ACLU is fighting for in their case is a meritocracy, which is, hey, you know, you haven't met these people, you haven't, you know, you don't know them yet, and you're automatically marking them down based on the race that they picked on a box, which, like you said, is a thing that shouldn't be happening based on a preconceived perception or a notion of what's happening or what that person is going to be like. And that's what they're doing in this case. But also they have to fight for things that me or you would probably not agree with. I would not agree with, I don't like, you know, say anti-Semitism, right? But their right to discuss this, the right to bring it up, the right to fight for it, to argue for it, the right to offend people with it is necessary, because if people didn't bring up the offensiveness of being openly any gender or any sexuality they want out in the open, right? It would never have come about. Like, you can't get it without offending people. You can't get your rights. And the thing is that's another thing, is that it's hard to say that rights are even granted, because you have to, I mean, rights are inherent, I'm sorry, because you have to, you or someone else has to grant you every right that you have. The right to live another 3 days is granted to you by your decision to drink water, to eat food. These things are granted to you only because you decided to do these things. They're not inherent. You're not going to live forever. No one's immortal. They're not a magical being. These things are not inherent. Everything has to be granted to you. Now, when you fight for some things, they turn out to be ridiculous. Like, if you fought for perpetual motion machine, it would be a ridiculous pursuit because the laws of physics say that you cannot do it. It's a pursuit that's pointless. That's why but if nobody tried to do that, we wouldn't know it. So you have to have some, like science, the ACLU goes for things that are legitimate and reasonable and logical, but they also support causes that are absolutely ridiculous and make no sense. But until they do that, until they support that, there's not that full examination of the situation to see that in every way, shape, and form, it does not make sense to fight for that situation. I mean, you have to have that, because if you don't, you only get, it turns into, to me, it would turn into a confirmation bias. If you don't get challenged every step of the way, or when it's legitimate if you only, when you deem it to be legitimate, instead of when situationally it's legitimate. You know what I mean? It's not, it's outside of out of the side of the situation you're in, legitimate. So it's hard to kind of explain that, but it can't be based on what you determine or what the people that you agree with determine that it's legitimate to fight for. That's not what makes things right.
And just because Steve and I made a commitment that at the beginning of, before we started this, that we would not allow absolutely false claims to go through. When you said no one is a magical being, I sit here in proof that is false. So I take issue with that. Just putting it out there. Okay, Team Skeptic, the last 5 minutes is yours.
Yeah, so I'd like to start off by saying that it's not a mystery that the ACLU has become far left. Okay, the fighting for rights that don't exist is a far left mentality. The ACLU has done it many times, aside from the things that they've done that are good. Okay, because this is not is it a all one way or all the other? Yes, they do good things, but then they also do things that are completely ridiculous that have no point in society. And I'm just going to go over a few ones right here. The ACLU is currently defending the North American Man-Boy Love Association. This is something that I find horrendous. I think it's beneficial to society to push away from anything involving child pornography. Anything that are, now this is of course not the, I don't have a problem with the race or with the the sexual preference thing, but fighting for someone's right to have an association where men love boys. This is completely horrendous to me. The ACLU also endorses virtual child pornography and has defended the right of several people to obtain real child porn as a matter of freedom of speech. The ACLU also has opposed the protest at the border by the what are they called? The Texas Rangers, I believe, that whatever with the little militias that form along the border. They have opposed them because of the trying to remember the exact thing. They oppose them based on it's a form of expression that's hateful. Okay, that's what their opposition is, when it's really just a bunch of people that have a lot of self-pride in the country they were born in. I mean, it's not like they're saying, let's go put people down at the bottom to keep Americans out, even Hispanic Americans. They're putting people down there to keep non-Americans out. And then the ACLU will go and, of course, fight for the people who are being kept out of the country when they're not part of the country as it is. So the ACLU does tend to cherry pick its cases. It doesn't just fight for anybody that is oppressed. It picks cases based on what's going to help the ACLU stay alive, what's going to give it some form of legitimacy in society. Because if it wasn't legitimate, we would absolutely do away with it. And that's probably the biggest fear of the ACLU. You did say that all people are created equally, and I do have a question for you. Does Jeffrey Dahmer deserve the ACLU? I mean, I know he's dead now, but let's just go with what you were saying. Does Jeffrey Dahmer, is he created as equal as Barack Obama, for instance? Does he deserve the ACLU to step in and defend his right to, not be abused in prison? Okay, like that. These are the things the ACLU will, and of course, I'm using this as an example. It's not an actual thing because Jeffrey Dahmer's been dead for several years now. But it's an example of your claim that all people are created equal. I think that claim in the Constitution would be more like along the lines of all the people who are Americans who are busting their ass to be positive members of society, because we do know that we take rights away from people who we find to be socially rejectable. The criminals, the rapists, just the morally incessant people. We find a way to take away their rights without complaining about that. Now, in your last statement, you did say you saw it several times. Again, an anecdote. I know this is last minute, so I'm not expecting you to have hard facts in front of you. I don't have hard facts in front of me. You said in your last statement that it's hard for them to advance to powerful positions within their company, and I would argue that it's a powerful position and it should be hard. You say that they're fighting for rights and that rights are not granted, or I've said, did you say they were not inherited, right? Correct. You said they're not inherited, but they are granted. They are not granted. They are inherited. They are taken away from people. And that's probably what the ACLU is trying to do, is to keep those rights from being taken away, like the right to freedom of speech. I believe everybody has a right to freedom of speech. I don't care how hateful your message is. You should have the right to say it, because I would like to see the idiots way ahead of time. I would like them to be the loudest, so I can say those guys are idiots and I'm going away from them. Let's see, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I'd like to add to this. I just believe that, a lot of the things you say are correct, that we should have a meritocracy, but I don't see the ACLU fighting for a meritocracy, because if they were fighting for a meritocracy, then they would also be supporting the people who are at the top, who have earned that right to be at the top, who are also having their rights taken away from them. Okay, I'm done.
Okay, that will conclude the back and forth rounds. We will go into the 10-minute discussion. Since Team Skeptic just went, we will start with Puff as soon as we get the clock on the screen. Puff, I have to be honest with you. I don't know how you come back from the NAMBLA thing. That that's a toughie, but we'll see how you respond, and the 10 minutes will start now.
Okay, here we go. That's case in point, Kyle, of what I said, of the situation where they explore every angle. On every angle, the majority of people agree that's ludicrous and there's no legitimacy to it, right? That's where it becomes useful. At the end, we reject its
Okay.
legitimacy utterly, right? That's like
But the
me,
ACL
you, everybody's on the side of that. This is a morally egregious, and this should not happen. Child pornography, child pedophilia, these things are wholly unacceptable, right?
Then how can you fight
Okay.
for the existence of a company or of an organization that fights for their rights? I mean, that right there
Okay,
is
but this
kind
is
of
the thing. This is the thing. That's what makes them a dual side. There's two sides to every coin, right? So they do things that are good, and there is good to be found in that, which is that even though they gave these people a platform to shout as loudly as they could, no message they could provide will provide legitimacy to their issue. Right?
Can you provide just a
we
basic list of the positive things they've done versus a basic list that I just gave of the superiorly negative things they've done? Because if the good does not outweigh the bad, then it's actually a negative to society, and therefore it should be given away. We don't need to keep something around that's taking us down a little bit just because it's also pushing us up a little bit. If it's moving one step forward and two steps back, then the net gain is -1, and it's negative on society. We are not a society that needs to go back any further than we already have. We need to continue moving forward, and by moving forward, I think that eliminating a group like the ACLU would be a benefit to society. Let the meritocracy reign free. And
based on your opinion, then we need to dramatically slash funding to the military, correct?
That's a non sequitur.
No, it's not. Here's why.
How does that make sense?
You just said if it does more harm than good, there's no point in having it, right?
Yes. And you would say the military does more harm than good?
Yes, in the last 60, 70 years.
I'm ex-military.
Okay.
And we actually keep the peace across the world. There's no way you're going to convince me that
boots on the ground level, the individual that's boots on the ground still, in my opinion, wants to do good and provide safety and peace for everybody that they come in contact with. I'm a military member from a military family, a long line of military members.
Let me break in momentarily, guys.
That
we're steering a little bit off the
I
topic.
believe that here's the thing. From the top, it's been used as, okay, we got military blowback. A huge amount of blowback. What's the whole problem in Iran? It comes from the problem with the Shah. It's blowback. In this case, the majority of problems that we're facing as a country right now, we've created for ourselves with the use of our military with a hammer. And instead of looking at problems that they
tying this to the ACLU, you're trying to basically say that the military does more harm than good, but we still have a military. And I'm telling you,
use it for the things that are good. Because we understand
but I disagree
that
with you. It's not more harm than good. If there was more harm than good,
done with it is useful, right?
This is an evolutionary society. This is an evolutionary society. We evolve society based on the current situations. The U.S. military is absolutely beneficial to to society. You can't tell me that it's not under any circumstances. Now, how this ties to the ACLU is that the ACLU does the egregious things like the NAMBLA stuff, like the fighting for the rights to obtain. And hold on, let me finish. They do that, and you say your argument is that making sure that the Asian people who are being discriminated against should have their right to have all the rights of the same people based on meritocracy at the expense of NAMBLA and the fighting for the rights to obtain child pornography. Now, here's the truth of the matter. Here's the truth of the matter. If the people that are not being accepted into Harvard are the best qualified people, then who is going to be affected by that? Except Harvard.
Guys. All right, guys. You're
saying
too much over talking.
You can't talk over each other. Yeah, because nobody can hear you.
Team Skeptic, let Puff respond to what you just said about
what I'm saying is that I agree that on a grand scale that there are good things that the military does, but what you're saying is that 2 million civilian deaths a year is offset by the incremental good things that we achieve with the military. Now, there
Can you
are
tell
good
me-
things that
Can
we
you tell
do.
me how many lives have been saved? No, I guarantee you it's more than 2 million. So therefore, it
Okay,
does
you
more.
could claim
more
that
good than harm.
330 million lives got saved. You could claim that 7 billion lives got saved. How are we going to shoot the angle? Now, like I said, with the
Wait,
with the
lay out the good
ACLU, it's
versus the
about how
bad.
you shoot the how does the good outweigh the bad?
No, it does not.
The fact of the matter is this: if they stop a legitimate infringement of civil rights, that offsets, and it does not. It's not a
Are you
bad
kidding me?
thing to. It's
NAMBLA
not
is a national organization. Okay, it's not an
Okay,
individual
but-
thing. We're
right,
talking about
but
the rights of individuals, and then you come over here with this the rights
Right,
of
60
certain
years
individuals
ago-
that make them
60 years-
right. Hold on,
60
let me
years ago,
speak
if
now.
the
I just let you
ACLU
speak. Okay, so
60 years ago, if
you're
they stood up
saying
on a
that
platform for the LGBTQ community, if they stood on a platform 60 years ago like that, they got shouted down in the same format, which
I think
is
you just
there's-
answered your own problem 60
there's
years
no
ago.
argument.
Okay, 60
Okay.
years ago. It's not necessary
Right.
now.
And
I
what
know
is
I'm
going
right.
to happen
Thank you.
when we? What I'm saying, no, it's not that it's not necessary. What I'm saying is, yes, it is 60 years ago. But when you get around to the point of once we get farther along and we go, okay, that was instrumental for this reason.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. Since you brought it up, how many of these Asian students are you talking about were discriminated against? Do you happen to know offhand? No. Yes.
Puff? Puff, are you with us?
Yeah, I guess. I guess it's going to be on me. All right, I'm trying to look at the numbers of the membership of the of NAMBLA. Oh, here it is right here. And in 2018, April 26, has around 1,100 members. Okay, these are not just 1,100 members of NAMBLA. These are the men. They're going after the boys. The boys are not the members. Okay, the men are. The people who are being oppressed, who are being subjected to this horrific ordeal, are not the ones that the ACLU is even fighting for. They're fighting for the right for these people to have that ability to subject these youngsters to certain I'm trying to find a word to describe it without having to be overly vulgar. This is
Okay.
why
we got it, I think.
Okay. Well, this is why I believe that the ACLU is it doesn't have a backbone. Of course, it's going to have some portions that's good. Let's say that their reasoning for fighting for the rights for those Harvard students, for the Asian students applying to Harvard, is to make them look good, because they're obviously also fighting for the other people that I said that are horrible, so anyway, is he going to come back, or is it?
I'm back. I apologize.
Okay.
Okay, so
want to get
yes,
Puff last minute
everybody's
then to
gonna
kind of
everybody's
Yeah,
gonna
he can have last
shine.
minute.
Everyone's gonna pick and choose situations that they involve themselves in, and they're gonna pick and choose what they do with the most light on it, because that's what they want their image to be. Now, that's an organizational choice, but the fact that they're willing to pick that torch up, and even on a smaller level, they're willing to help or lean on other organizations. Hey, pick this situation up, help these people out, fight for their cause. And the thing is, they're the same people that decided to fight for the KKK to march in New York, right? But that's something that needed to be. That's something that at the time everybody's like, "Are you friggin' crazy?" There's no
Okay, but
reason.
here's
for
the
that.
difference in that.
But they saw the small reason, and it turned out to be good. But if we look at that time, I can almost guarantee that they're involved in so much bogus activity. Everybody is.
Are you talking about the ACLU?
No, but every organization is. If you look at it, there's a lot
Which
of
is inclusive of the
bogusness going
ACLU.
on. Yes, that includes
Yes,
them. That includes all
I
organizations.
agree. I agree, and you have to look at what their bogus claims are and the bogus things they do, like supporting NAMBLA, and weigh that with the very few little good things they do. I'm done.
Okay. All right. That was really good, actually. The discussion part was fascinating. I didn't know that the ACLU backed NAMBLA. That's kind of disheartening.
It's not. I'll discuss
Yeah.
that a little bit.
Yeah,
It's,
we'll talk
it's
about
not
it.
really
Guy-
backing
I will
them;
say
it's
this.
defending their rights.
Yeah, I'll get into
Sure,
the detail.
yeah.
But I got to tell you, I'm still amazed how well two people could come in out of fucking nowhere and be able to discuss a topic like this
Yeah.
in depth as well as people do.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
blown away.
shaking
I don't
like
think I have the skill set to do that. I've been doing this for a long time, debating and working with people debating, and I still am amazed that people are able to do this on the fly. Props to
Well
you.
done,
I
guys.
used
Trust
to
me.
I used to host a freestyle rap battle show when I was younger, so I kind of have a little bit on talking to a crowd and talking to people without any nervousness. So
Will you
I do
freestyle
the
for us
same
now?
thing.
That's a.
no,
Can you
you're
freestyle
nervous?
for us now?
no, I'm not going to do that.
I
mean,
that's a
engage
different thing. You know,
hyperacting in person
we can
at
all
my
carry on
at my shop.
conversations, but on a specific topic like this, going in just cold, that's difficult
Yeah, it was
for
good.
anybody.
But
Well-
guys, I want to thank you both for coming on here. We've got to be set so we can get another round in before.
sure.
Well, I just
we
gotta
close
say
out,
thank
but
you to.
sure.
I just gotta say thank you to you guys, but especially Team Skeptic going in against you. This whole debate of my hands have been shaking like a leaf. So I am nervous as all get out. This big old monster I drank is not helping the situation. But my name, something else is trying to help the situation. So we're gonna get there.
Well, dude,
Well,
I
it's
want to
good
tell you,
actually
You
to
did
have-
good, man.
yeah,
you did
you did
good.
really good, man. So I appreciate you keeping your composure as well as, I tried to do it as best I could, but I appreciate you doing it even better than I did.
Yep.
Okay,
and,
let's see if we
no-
can't
no
make the next round not so civil. I want my dumpster fire.
All right,
All right, I'll step out of here, you
pick a new
guys.
topic. Yep.
Thank you to
Y'all
these
have a good
guys.
night.
Topic,
We're
pick new
gonna.
people.
Yeah, you too. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Puff. Thanks, Team Skeptic. Once again, guys, if you want to experience what it's like to be in a sensory deprivation chamber and record your experience for us, you can be our field reporters for a day. Team Skeptic is offering 2 people to go and experience that. Get with me or send me an email at live@nonsecshow.com. That's NONSEQ show.com, and we'll set that up for you. Okay, let's go ahead and bring up the topic wheel again. Get one more round in. And let's spin that bad boy while Steve recaps the last debate.
Well, the only thing I was going to add on it was this, that I think the ACLU is kind of like PETA. They start off with good intentions and then they go to shit. And I think that happened to a lot of these organizations. I do agree with Team Skeptic on the fact that the way NAMBLA was putting forth a narrative, they were using on their websites and their domains to put forth how to groom kids and to put forth their belief that you can have consensual sex between adult males and children. There's no such thing as consensual sex between adult males and children. It does not exist.
That's
and
crazy.
That to me is not freedom of speech. If you want to put forth that narrative, that's fine. But when you explain to people in gross detail how to groom children,
Steve,
where to find
hold on one
children,
second, Steve. 1 second, Steve. We'll pick that.
Yep.
We'll pick that back up in just a
Definitely.
second.
Go
But
ahead.
look what we
Yep,
have
yep,
here. Should prayer
Yep.
be allowed
Woo.
in schools?
What can go wrong there?
Now we've got it. All right.
All right.
Let's go back to the screen, guys. Voting on this is now open. You have 3 minutes. When you hear the hallelujah, then it is over. Should prayer be allowed in schools?
It's gonna be awesome.
And okay, Steve, while we
So
count down the clock, continue with your commentary.
just the quick summary on that. Like I said, when you're advocating a position saying, hey, we want to get rid of consent laws, okay, that's freedom of speech. When you're advocating this is how you go rape a child, that's not freedom of speech. I don't think that's supposed to be protected. I think the ACLU has jumped the shark on numerous things. I definitely think that they start off wanting to protect the rights of everybody, but then they got too broad in their scope, and there are certain things that do not need to be protected, and certain things that advocate damage to society or violence or harm to children, I do not find falls under free speech, and I'm a Team Skeptic on that one.
I agree. That's a damning thing. I don't see how that is able to be a organization or one that would kind of put their face in the light of day with what they are trying to fight for. who is the face of NAMBLA? Like who is willing to
I
put
don't remember
themselves
the
out there
name.
like that?
This happened a long time ago, and I know I don't know if they even have a domain any longer. They got shut down, they got brought up again, and I don't know if they're even a real thing any longer. But when I first heard of this, I was thinking it was a spoof. I was like, this cannot be a real fucking thing. But it is a
Me
real
too.
fucking organization.
I saw it in the South Park
Literally,
episode. That's how I know about it.
It's-
And I thought that they
it's
were just
perfectly
making
fine to
something
go
up.
around raping kids. No, it's not, people. It's fucking not. And I think them trying to legitimize that and saying, oh, well, if the kid gives consent, no, I'm sorry. As a
No.
father, on Father's Day, my daughter has no fucking consent to do that, and I will fucking go after you and probably kill you.
Who says
Just fuck
that
you.
though? Like who says that kids? Who's the people out there that are saying kids can give their consent like that?
That's one of the things for NAMBLA, though. NAMBLA actually, in their charter, says that they believe that kids can give consent and that they want to get rid of all the age laws. Now, I do admit
Some people
18
need
is
their-
arbitrary. I do understand that. I can't argue that it's not arbitrary. Sure, there's no fine line of demarcation, but it is a societal line of demarcation has been imposed. And I'm sorry, you're not going to convince me that a 12-year-old can give consent. It's just not going to happen.
They need their heads caved in. That's what it sounds like to me. I bet you if we went around doing that, there wouldn't be a NAMBLA left.
But I mean, I do think the ACLU has done good things. Don't get me wrong. They start off with great intentions, and they do take on some really good cases. So it's not like I think the ACLU should go away. I don't agree with Team on that, but I do think they need to reevaluate themselves and go back to more of their roots. And
They need to use common sense. Like, don't take the child molestation cases. Like that should be. Why is that difficult?
Yeah, I mean, is it your religious right for priests to molest children? Is that a religious right? No.
That's ridiculous.
You would probably argue that. Is it freedom of religion? No, it's not.
You think in their board meeting when they were going over the cases that they have coming up, that there would at least be like, Johnny in the corner that said, well, you know what? All the other cases sound great, but the one where the old men want to touch little boys, we probably shouldn't take that one. Like you would think that would be a conversation that was. There we go. Voting's over.
Oh, by the way, I would never argue for murder. I would go, and if I killed somebody because they disciplined my daughter, I would get the death penalty. I'm fine with it. I'm not advocating go out and kill somebody. I'm just saying that I would protect my daughter with my life. And I don't know what I would do, right? I mean, you don't know when you're in those kind of situations. But I'm not ever telling anybody you have the right to go out and kill somebody. But I know if I did, I would accept the consequences. That's just me, though.
I am. I think if you are a proponent of NAMBLA, you should not be here anymore. I'll put it to you that way. Okay. We have we're getting our wheels put together now. And we will see who thinks that. Yeah, it was really well. I'm amazed every single one of these at how smart and the arguments are well put together, well thought out. It's crazy.
I know.
When we came up with the idea of the show, we were talking, when we were doing our back and forth about, is this a good idea? Should we try this? The number one concern that all of us had was that we were going to get just people on here. And it's just going to be a complete mess, and couldn't have been further from the truth. I mean, we're actually we're seeking a complete mess. So the wheels are being put together. Dave will let me know when those are ready. We will spin those and get our contestants for that.
And while we're doing that, somebody had asked NonSequitur Show, please be specific between class-led prayer and individual prayer. That's a good question. I think that the people arguing go either way. Obviously,
individual prayer, I don't think is illegal.
I don't think it's a real issue either. I mean, I don't know in anywhere where you can't pray in school individually. I mean, that's never been an issue. No schools ever said, "Hey, you're praying, you're expelled." No, you can do what the fuck you want. You can bring a Bible, you can read it. I think it's class. Yeah, we're talking about class.
In this case, it's the school having or sponsoring any type of event or any moment where you're praying, like gather around the flagpole. How they used to do that, or they used to do that when I was in school. They'd have like prayer at flagpole day. Everybody get out and hold hands around the flagpole.
Was that like something you had to go to, or is it?
What'd you say,
David? You had to go to that?
Okay.
Was that something you had mandatory attendance, or was that something like after school?
No, it wasn't. No, it wasn't ever mandatory. It was just you could just go. But the
And I
school
don't
like
care about
sponsored
that.
it. They would announce it and all
Well,
that
that's
stuff.
fine. Yeah, I know I got a real big problem with that.
Okay, we're going to look at the people who think that prayer should be allowed in school first. Bring up the wheel. All right, let's give her a spin. These are the group that think that prayer should be brought back. That the reason that our country is in the state it is in is because we took prayer. I'm just kidding. I don't know if that's what they think, but probably.
Satan has been allowed to take over the school system.
Yeah, it's a lot more fun that way.
Oh! I was really rooting for my boy, Mr. Atheist. Actually, he's your boy, but whatever. Because you guys have a physical thing with him or something. I don't know.
Wait,
Who's
Mr.
this?
Atheist thinks that prayer should be allowed in school?
Is this pro? Oh, interesting.
Wow,
Well,
Mr. Atheist.
Anyways, we got Celador. I don't know who he is, but it sounds cool.
Sell. How much? Get it? How much? No.
Celador. No, but I'll take 2 windows.
Okay. Anyways, we're moving on to the wheel who voted in the negative. Prayer should not be allowed in schools. And again, this is school endorsed prayer, not individual, because that's never been not a thing. Let's see. All right. We need some that's what we need next time. We need music to play during this.
Well, that's the wrong theme song, but
That would have been good. That is the wrong theme song. I don't know. Wheel of Fortune has a.
yeah, they got a little jingle thingy. It's just not as catchy. And I don't
Yeah.
think we use Vanna White's likeness. We get like some kind of copyright thing.
We'll just put you in a dress and have you spin it.
I would totally
Ooh.
go for it, man.
Oh no,
I'm
I've
quite
got it
secure
now.
about my sexuality.
Wait till next week on Debate Roulette. I've got it in my head now.
I'm wearing a pepperoni tank top from Mr. Atheist channel on some kind of thing that
We
I
both
was
are.
roped into. Yeah, well, I know what the hell that's about, but we'll do it. So,
All right, who we got?
Lightning. Ooh, cool name.
Celador, Lightning Cell. Perfect. Okay, guys, go to Discord. Dave will give you the link to come in. Steve, was there anything else that you wanted to mention about the previous debate before we?
No, I think that's about it. Like I said,
Lightning, you are not in the Discord. You need to go to the Discord.
I don't think we
Links
should
in the
abandon
description.
the ACLU. I just think that it needs to, reform itself somewhat and to get away from these controversial type things. Because I mean, there has to be some kind of limiting of speech in society. I believe in free speech, but again, when free speech interferes with society where you are harming people or the potentiality to harm people, I'm not for that. I'm just not. That's it.
I'd agree. I think if they applied a little bit of common sense and the things that they approach, or just had somebody there, kind of like a checks and balance system that just said, all you need is somebody that said, no, we don't need to take the case where the men want to touch the boys. Like,
you would think
it's crazy that that's a thing.
Something that people would go, no,
it's crazy that that's a thing.
Right.
But yeah, Celador and Lightning, you're on deck for a very good topic. This should be a fascinating debate, I think.
I don't see Lightning, but I think Celador's on their way in.
Okay. Celador is on his way in. We need to hear from you. Come or not, otherwise we will spin the wheel one more time. Mr. Who? I didn't hear him. Steve, did you hear what he said? Art Z name. Okay. All right. So you're the backup Art Z name. You can go ahead and head to Discord now, just in case, and get ready if we don't hear from Lightning in the next minute or two. But yeah, very good first round. And it looks like we're probably only going to get to another round this episode because we are approaching our 2-hour mark. Once again, guys, while we wait, don't forget that Aaron Ra will be with us tomorrow. He will be having a debate with George Lujak on the origin and creation. George Lujak is a old Earth creationist. Maybe Steve can kind of explain what that is exactly.
I don't know who he is. There's two main forms of Earth creationism. There's gap creationism, and then there's like the Hugh Ross type. Gap creationism is that the Earth itself and the universe is 4 billion some odd years old, but there was a gap period of some kind, and man was only been around for like 6,000 years. But the way the Hugh Ross's approach is that the Earth is old, evolution is a thing, except for man. For some reason, man is separate phylogenetically, and at some point they get ensouled by a deity, and that's Adam and Eve, and in the Garden of Eden. I don't know how that all works, but older creationism is just a little upgraded form of creation.
Okay,
it's not the same as theistic evolutionists because what's that? We need a new one.
We're gonna have to respin the negative wheel.
Or who was the one before? Whatever. I just think you just pick the person before him.
Art Z, whatever. He didn't show up either, though.
All right, so this spin.
Okay.
But yeah, theistic evolution is at least people saying, you know what, I fully accept all of evolution. And we know evolution goes back 4 billion years or so, 3.8, 3.9 billion years. But we believe that there's a deity that was the cause for all this, whether it be guiding or just put it all in motion. That's a different approach. At least they do accept biological facts. Most young Earth creationists obviously don't. Actually, all young Earth creationists don't, and most old Earth creationists have caveats with that. So,
okay. Well, either way,
yeah, I think so. We need a new wheel.
All right, spin it again. Okay. We'll go ahead and switch out that then. Lightning, I think it's meant to be that you're. There we go.
Okay. Skylar's on there. Oh, what could go wrong there? Skylar. I'm actually kind of hoping it does.
And I will say that tomorrow, guys, is an actual debate. So it will be different from the past shows that you've seen RNN. We will have timed rounds, kind of like what we're doing tonight, and it will be a little bit more structured. So we're still having a discussion at the end. They'll have a certain amount of time to kind of go back and forth. But
Art Z is AZ in the live chat. I know him. Oh, this is gonna be close. Oh God, so close. Yeah, you gotta be in the Discord, guys. It's the only way we can get you the link. Drunken Koala.
okay.
Oh, cola. Is it cola? Yeah, drunken cola. Cola? Koala? It's koala.
And
Yeah, it's koala.
Skylar's the backup. Okay, Drunken Koala. Skylar backup.
Yeah, I was kind of rooting for Skylar too, guys. I'm sorry, but hey, I can't will the wheel. I can't do that whole thing through like Skype healing people either.
All right, so we will wait for Drunken Koala. And
maybe we should make sure they're in the Discord before we put the names on the wheel.
Well, we announced it at the beginning.
I know.
Yeah, Celador, you can. Celador,
Celador.
actually, come on in. Go ahead and click the link and
get in here.
come on in.
Yeah,
we'll
we can
talk
start
to you
the
while
Time's a
we
click.
wait on Drunken Koala.
They're not online on the Discord anymore, so I don't know if they backed out or not. I can give the link to Mr. Atheist.
Yep, he was a backup anyway. Okay, so I just got informed that Celadon was not active on the Discord anymore. Mr. Atheist was the backup Celadon. We're going to give you another minute before we bring in Mr. Atheist. So,
Is Mr. Atheist really going to argue for perm school? Because I mean, you can pick either side. You're not obligated either way. I mean, I would be down to listen to that just as much as anything else. But I'm just curious if that's really what he was going for.
condition is that he has to do it in Stewie's voice. If he's going to argue from that side, he has to do it in Stewie's voice. So that will be the only condition.
Am I in? Am I good? Am I working?
Damn right you is.
Oh, bloody
Who do we
oath.
have? Who do we have?
This drunken koala.
Awesome.
You sound like you should be drunken kangaroo.
Yeah, a bit of a drunken kangaroo, drunken crocodile, whatever you want.
Or emu.
And he's
Hello,
got a
sir.
camera.
Welcome.
Yeah, got a camera.
I don't.
Welcome.
Just trying it. Welcome. I'm pretty new here. I've just found it just earlier on, so I'm pretty keen.
Virgin.
Oh, you just found us today?
Just today.
Oh, good.
We love virgins.
Like while we were streaming, or did you watch a video earlier?
No, while you were streaming.
Good deal.
Really? Ooh.
Yep.
So you've never
the
heard
best
of the
kind.
Non-Sequitur Show before? Where do you
Never
live?
in
Like
my
on the other side of the
life.
planet?
I'm on the
So
opposite
everybody
side.
has-
Down under.
Steve,
Yeah,
listen,
no.
everybody has heard of the Non-Sequitur Show, my man. I know. Look, I know that we like to think
Getting
that
there.
they have,
It's
but
getting there.
you cannot be shocked that not everyone has heard of us.
Yeah,
I
I
well,
live in
like where
Australia.
I like where your head's at. But welcome,
I-
sir.
I've
I-
seen
I
a
was
few
actually
non-sequitur
quite-
shows before.
yeah.
Is some of their
Sweet
Aussie too?
as.
Yeah, I'm on here.
Okay.
Wow.
All right. So
Yeah,
now we
all
got
right.
you both.
Awesome.
We can hear you. Now, hold on one second, Celadon, and we'll move over to you. But Jung Kuala, welcome. We're glad that you found us. Hopefully you stick with us. I think there's got to be something on here that you like. And then there's
I
probably a
loved
lot
the
on here
last
that
one.
you
It was
will.
awesome.
Good. But I'm sure there will be some things on here that you'll absolutely terrify you. They terrify me. We've done shows that are just crazy. But anyway, welcome. And Celador, how are you tonight?
I'm pretty good. How you doing?
I'm good. And are you new, or have you been with us or watched us before?
Yeah, I've watched before. Maybe around like 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay, cool. And you're still here. That's a good thing. All right.
Well, something's going
We'll,
right.
Yeah, we wonder sometimes. We're going to put 3 minutes on the clock, and drunken. Well, who's taking the that we should allow prayer in schools? That's Celador, right?
I'm going with that.
Okay, so we'll start with you. Put 3 minutes on the clock to introduce yourself. If you have a channel or anything like that, go ahead and plug it, and then talk about your position.
All right, cool. Well, yeah, I'm Celador. Don't have any channels I want to promote or anything like that. I mean, I probably should start off with saying, like, I'm actually an atheist, but I believe that you should have, or you should allow prayer in school if that's something that people want to do.
Okay.
Do we have something
Hold
else?
on one second. Hold on. David, can we, Drunken Koala, we're going to mute you real quick. I think we're hearing something in the background.
Okay.
From your side.
That's something that
Okay.
people want to do. Be forced on people. You shouldn't infringe on people's religious beliefs. Like, just as an atheist, I don't think that I should infringe on people's religious beliefs. Just like as some kind of like blanket law. If it's something that they want to do, then I see no problem with letting them do it. I would have a problem if it was like the school forcing them to prayer. But if it's their own belief, then there's no problem from my side. That was probably a bit quick, but yeah, I can hand that over now.
Oh yeah, okay, that works. And once again, guys, that's a good point. If you are done with your time, you don't have to fill out the entire bit of it. Just let us know, and we can stop the clock and go to the next person. But Drunken Koala, it is now on you to tell us why prayer should not be allowed in school, sir. And introduce
Right.
yourself.
Well, my name's Drunken Koala, by the way, from Australia. Hello, Barb. Say hello, big shout out. But I mean, I don't necessarily think it's the right place for for prayer. Like, I mean, sure enough, if you've got your culture, everyone's got culture, everybody's got something where they need to be, like Sundays for Christians, and I don't know about anything else, but that's all I know. But I mean, it's a place for education. It's meant for education. You know, you go to the toilet, you have a room for the toilet. You go to the hall, you go to the concerts. You know, there's a place for entertainment. There's places for everything. Like, and school is for education. It's not necessarily for people. You can't just have a whole section of time and say, okay, well, from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, you're going to have religious class. Like, even if people don't want to go to it, you're still backtracking, because all the kids that did go to that class, they're now behind in all of the other education that they were on before. So, I mean, it's not. And then now the teacher's got to go back and do all of this. It makes more problems than it's meant to. Like, if you've got somewhere to be for your religious purposes or whatever, it should be done outside of school. Like, when I was a kid, we actually had religious education. We actually had a time period where everybody would go and learn about the Bible, which as a kid, I didn't think anything different of it as a kid. Like, it was just normal. It was a normal thing. But it just didn't make sense, because you're at school. School is for education. School is for science. School is for maths. School is for literature. Like, it's not necessarily for, well, like, sure enough, you can learn about it. You can go and learn about, like, how different religions of all different types of it. But if you're going to have one specific religion, what are you going to have? One class for like one certain religion, another class for another religion, another class for another religion on all these different days? Like, it's to me, it just doesn't make sense. It's not. You're there for education. You're meant there to learn about science, maths, whatever language you speak. Some people have different multi-languages during the classes. Like, yeah, but it's just not a place for religion. It's not meant to be there, I don't think. You know, unless you're going to be learning about it, learn about the history of religion and what all the different religions about, and how they all started going at war with each other. But that's where.
All right, and that's time for round one. Very good, guys. Once again, I think we're going to get two people that have very articulate arguments and not my dumpster fire. So maybe next week we will keep on the lookout for that. All right, Celador. Oh, Steve.
Just real quick, Celador, I think it's you're breathing in your mic really loud, and if you could just either mute or just kind of move away from it when you're not talking.
Oh, sorry. I thought it was on. Am I? Oh, wait a second. Am I on push to talk right now, or can you hear me when I'm speaking?
No, we can hear.
Oh,
Yep.
sorry. I
No,
thought
we can
I was
hear
on
you.
push to talk.
Oh no, you're okay. You're okay. I thought
No worries, man, no
I
worries.
thought somebody was outside and the wind was blowing.
No, it was him.
I'm just breathing that loud, it seems.
Yeah. Okay. All right,
He's super
Celador.
excited.
Yeah, I could tell that. Celador, take a Xanax, and then whenever you're ready, the next 5 minutes is for you.
All right, cool. Well, I mean, like Drunken Koala, my apologies. Drunken Koala brought up a few good points there. One of the things I like when I went to, like I said before, I'm an atheist, but I went to a Catholic sixth form. I'm from the UK over here. So 16 to 18, I went to a Catholic school, and we had religious education as a subject just for, like, I think it was it was for 1 hour every 2 weeks. And that was actually a really good time, like a really good kind of developmental, kind of class for me. Like, it wasn't just about learning about religions and things like that. It was talking about all different kinds of things, but from almost like a religious point of view. And even as an atheist, you're not learning about things through the eyes of Christianity, which it would have been. It was just learning about things through a moral point of view, which is a side of Christianity that they always want to put across. And like, not getting into my views of Christianity, like that's a whole different subject. But that's like a really good thing to do. Like when kids are developing, like you don't want to just like teach them knowledge. You want to like give them like a good viewpoint of the world. And yeah, religion isn't always like, a lot of religion isn't a great way of putting that across. But if you get kids to talk about things, it's a really good developmental like thing to do. Oh yeah, another good thing that Drunken Koala said is that you know, like school isn't a good place to do this. You know, it's not. You know, school is school. It's about education. It's not about religion. Whereas you can very easily have like a separate place to like put across religion. All right, cool. Yeah. I think I've got all my points across. I'm good for now.
Okay.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll reset the clock real quick. And Drunken Koala.
Yeah,
Kidding.
sorry about that.
That's cool. That's cool.
Make up names as we go along. It don't matter.
I called him Drunken Kangaroo when he first came in. So we're just throwing out animal names at this point. But go ahead, sir.
All right. So I understand the point of the, like, you know, moral putting, you know, bloody moral shit on kids and whatnot. But I mean, like, that's what white lies are for. That's what the tooth fairy is for. Like, that's what all of them sort of things. They're all meant to teach you about it. We've already got it, and we already do use it. I don't know if that's sort of what you mean, like how parents will tell you white lies and whatnot and say, you know, like, oh, don't go in the bushes over there. There's monsters over there, or don't run away too far, and like all that sort of stuff. But I mean, even still, it's at school. You're at school, and it's a place of learning about. Well, see, I really do see what you're saying, like about like the moral side of it, and teaching. But that's what your parents are for. Your parents are meant to do that, not religion. Religion's not meant to do that. That's what your parents are for. Parents is meant to teach you all of those sort of things, right from wrong. You know, you can't do that because that's bad, and you can do that because that's good. That's what your parents teach you. Like, you're not necessarily meant to do that at school anyway, really. Like, your teachers are sort of, you know, like if you do something wrong in class and whatnot, you hit another kid or whatnot, they're like, get up and send you to the office and give you the cane. Back in the day, they don't give you the cane no more, but like it was already sort of there. Like, it's an unnecessary 1 hour waste of time that it's just useless. You could be using that time to learn about your 1+1s and 1+2s. You know, like, and it's religion has no place at school. Religion really doesn't have any place at school unless it's to do with history. That's it. History, or maybe like psychology, the psychology of religion in a scientific point of view. Maybe you want to learn about the brain and where we first formed this idea of actually having a God or something that's bigger than us, you know? But not necessarily the religion itself. Because normally you're going to have one specific religion. You're not going to talk about more than one. Not everyone's not going to want to go to it. You know, you got only one religion, 1 hour period for Christianity, 1 hour period for the Quran or whatever, I don't know, all them other ones. And you'd have multiple different ones, and that's not, you should, it's just doesn't make sense to me to do any of that. But yeah, that's about it. That's all I've got. That's all I've
Okay.
got.
All right. Celador?
Okay, yeah. I think that's a good idea, actually. No, having like a 1 hour period on each religion. I mean, you have like RE classes going throughout the whole year. So it's like, yeah, you have like 1 or 2 or 3 like lessons in a row, like over the week. Like, I mean, I only had one every 2 weeks. So that's kind of like the idea I'm going with. But yeah, you only have like 1 or 2 like lessons on each religion. But that's a really important thing, just so that everyone gets kind of like a broad knowledge of like what other religions believe. Because even as an atheist, it's really important to understand what other like religions believe. I mean, there's like 1 billion Christians in the world, 1 billion Muslims. Like, you know, it's pretty important to know what like 1/6 of the world believe in. You know, like that's just for your whole kind of. I mean, the majority of us live in democracies. It's a very good idea to know what like a huge proportion of your population like are voting for and are believing in. And sorry, I'm just like going down my notes.
It's okay.
Oh yeah, sorry. Another really good point was Drunk Koala made was like what do our parents like? What is it that our parents are supposed to teach us, and what aren't they supposed to teach us? And that's a really good point. I mean, like that's a whole point into itself, but it is really important. And I don't think we can actually expect our parents to teach us about other religions and what they believe in, because how would they know unless they were taught it at school? And it would only be like if we completely took like kind of, I know we're talking more about religious education as a subject rather than whether prayer is allowed in school, but that's a really important point. Like if religious education was never taught, then how would anyone know like what other religions believed unless they went out on their own back and actually learnt that kind of thing, which, you know, realistically isn't going to happen. So it's really good that we are taught that kind of thing. So, and I mean, kind of getting back to the whole main question is like, kind of like, should prayer be allowed in school? Well, if we took prayer out of school, if we said that you aren't allowed to actually pray at school, nobody is allowed to pray at school, like surely that's just infringing on people's basic human rights, you know, the right to religion. Like as an atheist, you know, it wouldn't bother me, but well, it wouldn't bother me as in I'm not allowed to pray, but it would be infringing on people's basic human rights. Like, you know, you're basically saying like, we don't care that you believe in Jesus or you believe in Allah or any of the other religions. You know, you're basically banning them from actually praying and yeah, just like carrying on their day-to-day lives. Like one of the places I worked, we actually had a prayer room, and it wasn't for any specific religion. And even as an atheist, I actually kind of liked going in there because it was basically just a quiet room where you went in there, you don't talk to other people, you just do what you do and whatever. And it was a really good place to just go and meditate, which to be honest is basically like, as an atheist, to me, that's basically what religion is. And it's a really good place to kind of go and do that. And it's not mandatory by, I'm from the UK, so it's not mandatory by UK law to have that kind of room, but it's a really good step forward. And it's the kind of thing that like most workplaces should have. I'm pretty sure so I pretty much got all the points I wanted to be said. So yeah, I can hand it back over to you, Drunk Koala.
Okay. And let me just go ahead and say this before you start, Drunk Koala. Before we go into the discussion round, the back and forth, we're not talking about the school taking away anybody's right to, you know, if you're in class and you're getting ready to take a test and you want to, you know, bow your head and say a prayer before you take the test. We're talking about the school actually encouraging and sort of sponsoring prayer, like, you know, a teacher leading the class in a class-wide morning prayer, you know, that kind of mandated school prayer. People nowadays, I mean, you can pray anywhere you want to. You know, you could be in line somewhere. Nobody can take away the ability for you to pray, because it's just something that you do yourself, you know, with yourself. We're talking about the school having a morning prayer, or, you know, like in my case, hosting a, you know, prayer on the flagpole thing, anything that the school gets behind and kind of sponsors. On the individual level, you could never take that away, I don't think. So just keep that in mind before we go into the discussion. Okay, Drunken Koala, last 5 minutes is for you.
All right, I'm back. All right, well, I didn't necessarily mean the parents teaching you about religion per se, but the moral point of what religion is meant to teach you about, like don't kill people, don't hurt your neighbor, and, you know, those sorts of things. Like those things are meant to be taught. And that's the real only argument that can be brought about whether it should be good to be in schools is, you know, the fact that it does teach you those sorts of things, like, you know, don't hurt the next person sitting next to you and stuff like that. Like love your neighbor and all that stuff. Like I didn't even really know what it is, because I've only read it a couple of times, and I didn't really listen in my religious class when we used to go. I didn't really listen to it because I don't believe in that. I believe in the rainbow serpent, which rainbow serpent is Australia's one god, one singular god, big snake flying around. But like those sorts of things, that's exactly what our parents taught us, and I'm pretty sure that's the whole reason why it was brought to be, where you do have, you know, the rainbow serpent, and it created the lands, and it created these monsters and these monsters, and if you do these things, these monsters will come after you, and if you do them things, these monsters will come after you. Like, don't do the bad, you know. That's the sort of learning period, like the learning what they sort of teaching you as kids, like as lies, not really as lies as white lies and whatnot, but and then it, like those things, yeah, they're meant to be taught at home. They're meant to be taught, you know, that's your own culture. That's a separate thing. That's your own culture. You know, other people don't necessarily want to see, not that they don't want to see your culture in front of them, but, you know, it's like other people don't want to see all these people lining up, like doing prayer in the middle of the school, whatnot, while all the other kids are going to class and learning. Like, even that in itself would be like pretty controversial, and you'd be like, wow, like why do they all have to get that why do they all have that sort of treatment, but our kids don't? And, you know, like if you were to try and do that as, say, a Christian or a Catholic, the same sort of thing, it would be like, oh, well, why aren't you doing it for the other religions? Like, what are you're biased, you know, and all of these sorts of things. Like, and it's actually pretty evident how they quite attack schools and stuff that do teach Christianity or teach Catholic, and they actually don't. And it's like, well, why aren't you teaching not teaching it, but I mean, like you allowed these people to do prayer and whatnot was back in the day, but. And then now it's like, oh, well, you know, why aren't you doing it with Muslims, or why aren't you doing it with Asians and stuff like that? Like, and it just makes more problems than it's meant to be. Like, school's meant to be for education. That's it. That's it. It's education. It's not meant to be there for you to like have a play around and whatnot and stuff around. It's meant to be there for education. That's it. It's end of the line. That's education. All the other stuff is for home, for leisurely time, for cultural time, getting around the table, having a dinner, talking about God or whatever, and then you pray at the dinner table or whatever. I don't know. Like, but that's not for school. It's just not. You're going to create more problems, and some religions do actually have this religion might not like this one. And then this religion might not like this one and this one, and then it's like that you've got all these different problems and people are going to start speaking up, and then people are going to be suing each other, and, and it's just not a pretty picture, and it makes more problems than it's meant to be. Just keep the school as education and just keep it as education. That's it. I'm done.
Okay, so that's the end of the back and forth rounds. And I'm going to ask you guys this question. It's up to you entirely, but it seems like you guys agree on the majority of things. So the discussion going back and forth would probably be just you two agreeing. You're more than welcome to take that 10 minutes and do that, but it doesn't sound like
angry if you want.
Disagree. That's completely up to you.
No, I'd found that I'd only found like one thing that we actually disagree on.
Yeah. And,
okay.
Let me. Do you want to do a quick just recap? Because I
yeah.
Can we do a recap, please?
Okay, recap. Good. Look,
what'd you do, John Koala?
I dropped my speaker.
I do think the topic was more obviously, should the school be able to do these things? Now, here's the way it worked when I was growing up. If you wanted to pray, you had recess, you had between classes. If you wanted to go in the library, you wanted to go somewhere, have a club, more than welcome to. No school, and I'm ever aware of in America, has ever said those things can't happen. So there's never been a thing to take away somebody's rights to pray. It is, as Kyle said, the question, should a school mandate like before morning class? I, throughout my entire educational career, has said no, and I still maintain that. I think secularism has got to be the case. As you pointed out, Drunken Koala, prayer is different things to different people, and as soon as you have any kind of encroachment of religion into the school system, you're no longer doing what the school is supposed to be doing, which, as you pointed out, reading, writing, arithmetic, that kind of stuff, you're educating. If it's even in a course like religious studies, that's great. You don't need to pray in religious studies. You should learn about these religions, absolutely. But I see no reason at all ever for a school to sponsor the need to have religion or prayer mandated or led by a teacher in those circumstances. Because I was always uncomfortable when they would want to do stuff like that, and I can imagine other students would do the same way. That's my take on it.
And I think we all agree on that, don't we?
Yeah.
So
to be honest, I
there?
actually felt. Yeah, at my primary school, I was one of the kids that kicked back against praying because we were all forced to pray, basically.
Yeah. So okay. Well, I want to say, guys, that was fantastic to have two atheists kind of going back and forth on the prayer in school was interesting. So, Drunken Koala, we are glad that you found us. Hopefully you stick around and we have a new friend out of you. What are you doing? What are you doing throwing up gang signs?
No, that's 33, man. Illuminati, man.
I apologize.
This is for my buddy Russian Vids. There you go, Russian Vids, right there for you, baby.
Yeah,
right there. Wait,
sweet. Celador, we want to thank you as well. Thank you guys for a civil, and Steve is still doing the Illuminati. Oh my gosh. But anyway, thanks to both of you guys for coming on. It was fantastic. And
all good.
Yeah.
I was going to suggest something to you. You were asking about music before.
Mm-hmm.
You were saying something about music. Just going to say, if you wanted to hear a bit of music, because we are ending the show, is it not correct?
Well, I can't pass this up, please.
Song. Yeah, it has to be your own tune.
Well, I was going to make you a song. I was actually going to make you.
Oh, please!
Yes,
this is fantastic
for your channel.
Take us out, man. You can do the outro.
So the Non-Sequitur Show. Is that right?
Sequitur.
No, but I like that too. The non-seculars.
Yeah.
Although we are secular.
Look,
yeah, but
just go where the music takes you, man.
Just do it free flow, man. Whatever you feel. Make shit up. It don't matter.
Can you hear that all right?
Oh yeah.
I found this show today. They were debating about the ACLU. I didn't know what it was about, but I was gonna put my answer in anyway. I need to talk about some science and I need to talk about a little bit of fish. I don't know what I'm saying, but I'll make it up. Yeah. I don't know. I literally
sir.
don't know.
I'm the straightest man to ever be in love with you. Okay,
Nice
that was
dude.
brilliant.
Bravo, sir. That was
great.
fantastic. You know what? I could
Wait till I get
don't
to
think
know.
that- Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, wait till I get to know the show a bit more, and I'll be able to find some more lyrics, like better lyrics.
That will be fantastic. That's probably the coolest way that we have. It's definitely the coolest way we have ever ended the show, because usually it's just me saying, "Okay, guys, we'll see you tomorrow." But that right there was the greatest thing that could have happened. Thank you for that. That was sweet. Good job, man.
Well, we'll
Good
try
job.
to get yeah.
That is awesome.
Well, good, right?
This is why I love doing this show. Meeting people like these guys, fantastic. I want to thank them once again. Thank you to Team Skeptic and Puffaluffagus for the first debate. Celador and Drunken Koala, who serenaded us out in a fantastic way. That was excellent. Another debate roulette in the books. We will do it again next Saturday. We will go back to our regular format tomorrow at 8 Eastern with Aaron Ra and George Lujak, who will be debating Old Earth creation. Don't forget, following the show, to go over to Steve McRae's channel at when do you start, Steve?
About 10 or 15 minutes.
Okay, in
I gotta
15 minutes,
pee.
he will be having. Yeah, he'll be having Matt Powell on his channel to go through Kent Hovind's arguments on creationism. So make sure you check that out. Otherwise, we'll see you tomorrow, and thanks for watching.